That's right. A former French colony, long buried under the weight of silence and trauma, is now demanding what may become the most powerful reparations case in modern African history, $200 billion. That's the price tag Niger has symbolically placed on a century of colonial massacres, looted artifacts, and unacknowledged atrocities, and suddenly, France is signaling it wants to talk. But here's the staggering part. This figure only covers massacres committed within Niger itself. It doesn't include the centuries-long transatlantic slave trade, the vast resource exploitation under colonial rule, or the countless lives lost during forced labor and extraction campaigns. And remember, Niger is just one of at least 14 former French colonies in Africa. Each has its own historical case for reparations, whether through bloodshed, plundered wealth, or cultural erasure. If France acknowledges Niger's claim, it could open a floodgate of demands across the continent. But will France collapse if it pays its African debt? How much do you think France owes the continent? Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this moment could be a turning point not just for Niger, but for the entire African continent. Before we dive in, welcome to Pan-African Lens, where Africa's past, present, and future come into focus. From cultural pride to political power shifts, we spotlight the stories shaping the continent and its global diaspora. If you believe Africa deserves to be seen through its own lens, subscribe now and be part of the movement. Let's get into it. In 1899, a French military expedition known as the Voulet-Chanoine mission unleashed one of the bloodiest colonial campaigns ever seen in West Africa. Led by captains Paul Voulet and Julien Chanoine, French soldiers marched across what is now Niger, massacring entire villages, looting sacred artifacts, and leaving behind a trail of corpses and smoke. In just one day in Birni-Nakoni, over 400 innocent people were slaughtered. And this is just the beginning. When Colonel Jean-François Claude was sent to stop the madness, he was assassinated on orders from Voulet himself. Yet, despite the scale of the horror, France never conducted an official inquiry. No one was held responsible. The crimes were buried beneath the sands of time until now. Fast forward to June 2024. A letter from France's permanent representative to the UN reveals something unprecedented. France says it is open to bilateral dialogue with Niger about these events. A statement that doesn't sound like much on the surface, until you realize it's the first formal acknowledgement in over a century. And just when you think it's symbolic, Niger is putting a number on it. $200 billion. Now the question becomes, will France negotiate or will it run? Stay with us, because this next part changes everything. You see, this isn't coming out of nowhere. This is the result of a decade-long fight by Nigerian communities led by activists, historians, and teachers like Hosseini Tahiru Amadou. Since 2014, they've gathered testimonies, pored over colonial archives, and worked with international legal experts to build a case. Enter the UN. A special rapporteur on colonial abuses, Bernard Duhaim, took up the charge, and the result was a formal complaint supported by Nigerian historians, international lawyers, and even grassroots survivors' descendants. What France received wasn't just a letter, it was a historic challenge. And what did France say in return? They didn't deny the atrocities, they didn't admit them either. Instead, they claimed that international laws on crimes against humanity didn't apply because the events happened before those laws existed. In other words, yes, it happened, but we don't owe you anything. If that rattled you, wait until you hear this. Some graves of the French soldiers are still honored in Nigerian towns today. But the victims? No memorials, no compensation, no justice. Now imagine being a descendant of those massacred communities. Imagine walking past the unmarked graves of your ancestors while colonial graves are preserved in your backyard. This is why the $200 billion demand isn't just about money. It's about memory. It's about justice. It's about restoring dignity. And France knows it. Let's take it up a notch. This story doesn't stop in Niger. This is about geopolitics. In 2021, France finally admitted to its role in the Rwandan genocide. Then came apologies for massacres in Algeria and Madagascar. And now, Niger? The dominoes are falling. That's why this moment matters. Because if Niger succeeds, other nations will follow. From Burkina Faso to Mali, from Senegal to Congo, the cries for reparations will become a roar. If you believe Africa must rise, comment, France must pay up. And if you stand with Niger, say it loud in the comments. I stand with Niger. We're not done yet, far from it. France's economic entanglement with West Africa runs deep. From the CFA franc currency it controls to mining contracts and energy concessions, France still has its hand on the African supply chain. And when that control slips, France panics. Just look at how fast French troops were expelled from Niger after the 2023 coup, or how fast ECOWAS sanctions followed. But here's where the story really takes a turn. The African Union has declared 2025 the year of reparations. That's not just a theme, that's a declaration of war on silence. A coordinated pan-African push is forming, and Niger may become its poster child. The demand isn't just financial. Communities are asking for stolen artifacts to be returned, access to colonial archives, official apologies, monuments built on massacre sites, a rewriting of French and African school curricula. What comes next proves Africa is rising on its own terms. Even as Macron positions himself as the president willing to admit past wrongs, there's a limit to what France will acknowledge. Because once the MAC mission is on the table, you open the floodgates. Germany already pledged over $1.1 billion in symbolic compensation to Namibia. France fears setting that precedent. But there's something the media isn't telling you. This is not just about historical justice. It's about economic leverage. Because the countries demanding reparations are the same ones supplying the world with uranium, oil, cobalt, and gold. And if they walk away from French partnerships, the impact hits global commodities, energy prices, and supply chains. That $200 billion figure? It's symbolic, yes, but it also reflects the real value France has extracted from Niger over 100 years. Mining, infrastructure, crude oil, cultural heritage, lives. Is $200 billion even enough? And just when you think it's over, it gets better. A BBC documentary called African Apocalypse aired in French and Hausa across Niger. It exposed the brutal truths of the Voulet-Chanoine mission and reignited the national conversation. Since then, Nigerian communities have rallied. Young people are studying their history, elders are testifying, politicians are starting to listen. And guess what? Macron is now caught between silence and surrender. He can either negotiate or face continental backlash. This is the power of truth. And this next step, it rewrites African history. Niger's bold move has forced France to blink. And in geopolitics, that's everything. The former colonizer now looks to negotiate. But who holds the cards? It's Niger. Africa is no longer begging, it's bargaining. So let me ask you, should France pay reparations to Niger? Should they return the artifacts, the archives, the dignity? Drop your thoughts below. Your voice matters. Your voice adds to the global pressure. If you believe Africa must rise, comment, France must pay up. If you stand with Niger, say it loud. I stand with Niger. Because this isn't just about history. It's about the future of African self-determination. Thanks for watching Pan-African Lens. If this story moved you, inspired you, or opened your eyes, hit like, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. This platform is powered by your voice. So let's keep building, questioning, and celebrating Africa together. Until next time, stay proud, stay curious, and keep the lens focused on truth. Like this video, share it far and wide, and let the world know that a new Africa is not only possible, it's already here.